Have you ever felt it? That strange, quiet ache in your chest when the world goes silent for just a second. Not pain, not fear, something else. A kind of distant whisper that tugs at you when you least expect it. It doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it just lingers there, like a forgotten truth that's been waiting patiently for you to notice. You brush it off, distract yourself, open another tab, scroll again. But it's still there, underneath the noise. Tick-tock, tick-tock. No, not the sound of your watch or the digital hum of your phone. It's deeper than that. It's the sound of your life slipping away, second by second. A sentence being carried out with ruthless precision. Not because you did something wrong, but because you forgot to pay attention. The clock isn't just measuring your time, it's consuming it. And it does so quietly, elegantly, without a hint of violence. While you yawn at your screen, while you pretend to be productive, while you nod and smile and delay the one thing you truly want to do, you think you're fine, but you're not fine. You're being devoured by something invisible, and you don't even realize it. There's something far more dangerous than death. It's the illusion that you are immune to it. You live like you're eternal, like you've been handed an infinite supply of days, tucked away in some cosmic drawer, ready to be used at your leisure. You speak of time like it's your possession. Someday, you say, later. But you never ask yourself, what if later never comes? What if this is all there is and you're squandering it with every breath? Deep down, you've already felt it. That sudden jolt when you realize the month is gone and you can't remember what you did. That strange, unspoken emptiness when the room goes quiet and all you can hear is the echo of your own delay. That's your soul. Screaming, that's time. Whispering in your ear, I won't return. And still you go on, numb, distracted, rehearsing the same thoughts. Telling yourself you're just tired, just overwhelmed, just waiting for the right moment. But you're not tired. You're empty, not bored, just disconnected. You've been lulled into a trance by the repetition of days, a trance that feels safe, predictable, comfortable. But it's not comfort, it's paralysis. You don't move because you've been taught to wait, to obey, to believe that someday, somehow, it'll all make sense. You postpone the conversation you know you need to have. You delay the project that lights you up inside. You push aside the dream you haven't dared to name out loud. Why? Because you've been tricked, trained to believe in the fantasy of more time. But here's the truth. There is no more time. What you have now is all you get. And every minute you spend asleep, metaphorically or otherwise, is a minute stolen from the life you were meant to live. Imagine this for a moment. That your future self, the one who is strong, fulfilled, free, locked behind bars, you keep building with every excuse. Every time you say, not today, you tighten the lock. And what's worse, you don't even remember when you stopped fighting for that future. You just woke up one day in a life that doesn't feel like yours. Surrounded by expectations, responsibilities, rhythms that suffocate instead of nourish. You perform, you pretend, you call it adulthood, maturity. But it's not. It's amnesia. It's forgetting that you were once alive, that you once looked at the world with fire in your eyes and a storm in your heart. Now you live in patterns, habits, empty repetitions. You wake up, go through the motions, tick the boxes and tell yourself this is normal. But normal isn't living. It's surviving. It's simulating a life instead of inhabiting it. Imagine if there was a number floating above your head, counting down with every breath, a real one, and someone else could see it but not you. And one day, they look at you with sorrow and say, you've got 300 seconds left. What would you do differently? What would you stop pretending to care about? Who would you call? What truth would you finally speak? That is the truth you live in already. The countdown is real. You just don't see it. And because of that, you act like it doesn't exist. But that blindness is the greatest danger of all. The lie that you have time, that you can afford to wait, that your dreams can survive neglect. But they can't, and neither can your spirit. Every day you spend conforming, delaying, obeying the light inside you dims just a little more. You give your minutes away like they're worthless. To people who don't value you, to distractions that dull your soul, to mindless loops of thought that lead you nowhere. And meanwhile, Your real life, the one you're meant to live, it's waiting for a permission that never comes. A green light that never turns on. A moment you think you'll feel ready for. But you won't. Readiness doesn't arrive, it's chosen. It's declared. It's now or never. Because time isn't patient. It isn't kind. It doesn't wait for you to find clarity or courage. It moves. It devours. And if you don't move with it, you disappear. You've been sold a story. That life is about planning, organizing, executing, that following the rules is wisdom. But they forgot to tell you the most important truth. None of that matters if you're asleep while doing it. You can achieve everything they told you to and still feel empty. You can tick every box and still miss the point. Because the point was never the checklist. The point was presence. And that's what you lost. That's what you've been living without. You're not here. Not really. You're somewhere else. In yesterday's regret or tomorrow's illusion, but never in the now. And that's why your life feels like it's vanishing. Because it is. And the only way back is not through more effort or productivity or planning. It's through awakening, through choosing, through reclaiming your time as sacred. Because that's what it is, sacred, non-refundable, and slipping through your hands as you read this. And the hardest part? You don't even realize how much you've lost until it's too late. Because time doesn't scream when it leaves. It slips away silently, like a thief, while you're busy, while you're distracted, while you're checking notifications and replying to things that don't matter. It robs you gently, subtly. It steals your child's laughter while you're checking your email. It takes away joy while you pretend to care in meaningless conversations. And one day you wake up, and it's gone. Not all at once. Just drained. Like something faded while you weren't watching. Something vital. And you can't even say when it happened. That's the cruelest part. The theft doesn't leave a mark. Just an emptiness you can't explain. And yet, you go on. Pretending, postponing, smiling when you want to scream, saying yes when you want to run, drowning in obligations that strip your soul thread by thread. Not because you're weak, but because you forgot. You forgot what it means to choose, to decide who gets your time, who gets your presence, who gets access to the fire that still flickers, buried under all the noise. But here's what they don't tell you. It's not too late. It's never too late until the last breath, and you're not there yet. You're still here, which means you can still remember, still fight, still reclaim what's yours. You can still break the trance, still walk out of the cage, still live a life that's real. But only if you stop pretending, only if you stop waiting, only if you stop acting like you're eternal when you're not. Most people are not trapped by chains. They're trapped by patterns, invisible loops of thought and behavior, repeating like a broken ritual, day after day. The same doubts, the same fears, the same excuses, dressed in different words. You can leave a toxic job, move to a new city, end a relationship, but if your patterns follow you, nothing changes. The prison isn't out there, it's in you. And it's made of habits that feel familiar, safe, almost comforting. Because even misery, when repeated long enough, begins to feel like home. You know the feeling. You say you want change, but deep down you fear what you'd become without the identity you've worn for years. That's the real fear, not failure, not rejection, but losing the version of yourself you've spent your whole life protecting, even if it's killing you slowly. You say you're stuck, but what if you're not stuck? What if you're addicted to your limitations? Addicted to the certainty of suffering over the chaos of transformation? You've built rituals around your pain. How you wake up, what you think about, who you talk to, how you respond, it's all part of a dance you didn't even choose. It was given to you. By parents, by society, by teachers, by every moment where you were told who you are, how to be, and what not to want. And without knowing it, you internalized it. You thought the voice in your head was yours, but it never was. It was programmed. And now, when your soul whispers that you're meant for something more, something deeper, you second-guess it. You call it delusion. You silence it with logic, with statistics, with stories of why it's not realistic. But deep down, you know, you feel it. There's a version of you waiting not ahead in the future, but already here, behind the walls you've built, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be unleashed. But it doesn't come cheap. You will have to give up comfort, give up predictability, give up the soothing lies you've told yourself to survive. Things like, I'm just not ready, or this is just how I am, or maybe one day. Those aren't reflections, they're traps, echoes of fear disguised as wisdom. But fear is clever. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it sounds like advice. It tells you to play it safe, to be reasonable, to wait for permission. And each time you listen, a part of you dies. Not physically, but spiritually. You become quieter, duller, easier to control. That's the plan. That's how systems keep people manageable. Numb them, distract them, make them afraid of their own power, and it works until something cracks, until a moment comes where the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. That's when awakening begins. That's when the lies start to unravel. And that's when you realize it was never about ability. It was about belief, about having the audacity to rewrite your own code. Reprogramming isn't glamorous, it's brutal. Because to change your reality, you must destroy the identity that created it. And that means facing the parts of yourself you've hidden. The envy, the rage, the shame, the cowardice. Not to judge them, but to understand them. Because these parts didn't arise from nowhere. They were built, installed. And they remain because they serve a purpose. To protect you from change, you have to confront them like an old enemy who once saved your life but is now standing in your way. It won't be easy. You'll feel resistance. You'll want to go back to the familiar. You'll crave the comfort of your chains. But that's when you must press on. When the discomfort rises, that's the signal. Not to stop, but to dig deeper. Because the mind only screams when it's about to be restructured. That's not a warning. That's a breakthrough in disguise. And the truth is, nobody is coming to save you. Not your friends. Not your therapist. Not your mentor. They can guide you, support you, but the actual work, that's yours alone. No one else can sit in the silence and confront the shadows you've buried. No one else can walk through the fire of your own transformation. This is your battle, and you don't win it with motivation. You win it with discipline, with self-interrogation, with ruthless honesty. You win it by catching yourself in the act every time you default to old thinking, to self-pity, to waiting for a sign. You win it by refusing to let your past dictate your future, by choosing, moment after moment, to rewrite your story even if your hands are still shaking while you do it. You'll lose people along the way. You'll outgrow relationships that were built on your old patterns, people who loved the version of you that stayed small, that didn't question, that didn't challenge them. Let them go. That's part of the cost. You can't become your future self and still maintain a life built by your former self. Something has to break, and when it does, you'll be tempted to call it a crisis. But it's not. It's a recalibration, a divine disturbance designed to push you into alignment. Most people avoid it. They numb themselves with entertainment, with drama, with substances, with endless busyness, because facing yourself feels like death, and in a way it is, the death of who you were. But what follows is rebirth, not the Instagram version, not the fake, polished, motivational kind, but the real thing, the messy, gritty, lonely, magnificent resurrection of the self, of the one you buried beneath approval, expectation, and fear. And once you cross that threshold, something changes. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for validation. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand your path. You start building, quietly, relentlessly, and the world, slowly, begins to adjust. Not because it changed, but because you did. You start to attract people who speak your language, opportunities that align with your energy, challenges that match your new level of strength. And you realize it was never about fixing yourself. It was about remembering who you were before the world taught you to forget. The path was always within you, but you couldn't see it while you were stuck in your own loop. That loop ends when you decide. When you stop being entertained by your limitations and start becoming obsessed with your freedom. When you stop performing for others and start creating for yourself. When you stop treating time like a theory and start living like it's sacred. Because it is, and so are you. But you'll never feel it if you keep living on autopilot. If you keep repeating old loops, hoping for new outcomes, break the pattern, shatter the cycle, burn the script, rewrite the code. Not someday. Now. Because the life you want isn't out there waiting for the right moment. It's hiding beneath everything you're afraid to let go of.